My name is Justin Silva, firefighter paramedic, and also the department EMS coordinator. This is a unique shared space in the department. This is our dispatch room. So we do dispatch calls occasionally out of here. We have the backup dispatch center when Holbrook's unavailable. All business calls are received and answered in this space. This is the municipal fire alarm system and all the computer servers for the fire department, all in this space. In addition to that, in this space is our medical treatment area. This is what we have available in this area for medical treatment should we have a walk-in medical arrive at the fire department. I want to kind of show you how the treatment area works. So the fire service has gone through an evolution in the last 25 years. We remain firefighters, but we're also now healthcare providers, and the community knows this. It's not uncommon for us to have a walk-in medical arrive at the station. That could be any number of reasons. Someone on their way to South Shore Hospital, their medical emergency deteriorates, they stop at the fire station seeking help because they know we're healthcare providers and we have the resources available to help them. A modern fire station, because of us being healthcare providers, they've added in a treatment room, similar to what you would see at a doctor's office or in urgent care. This is our treatment room at Station 1. We have a chair and what we call a jump bag, which is a pretty good amount of medical equipment, but this is the extent of what we can offer immediately to someone when they come in. After we begin patient care, the next phase in treatment is to bring the patient to the ambulance. I want to show you some of the limitations that we're faced with in this station in regards to space. So we bring the patient through this space here, through these doors, and around the front of the fire apparatus here. We've got about 2.5 feet, probably about 2.5 feet of clearance in front of that fire truck. And then we would continue to bring the patient through this tight space, around the ladder truck to the ambulance over here.
Hi, firefighter paramedic Ryan Amato with the Abington Fire Department. This is our multi-use room. As you can see, this is where we eat. This is where we cook. This is our training room. This is our ready room. This is where we stage for calls as they come in. The biggest issue with this room, though, is, as you notice, that door. That door is leading right out into the Apparatus Bay, where we store the fire engines. Modern fire stations have separated zones, and they're known as cold zones and hot zones. Hot zones being the zones that contain a lot of the contaminants, the carcinogens that we're exposed to at a structure fire. Cold zones are meant to not allow any of those contaminants in. So the biggest issue here, as you can see again, is we have a door separating us from those carcinogens. A lot of, again, modern fire departments have a hallway that is able to separate those zones. Again, just showing you the fact is we're sharing a space.
Hi, I'm Derek Hamadi, part of the Abington Fire Department, firefighter paramedic here, and we're standing in the Apparatus Bay of our headquarters station at 1040 Bedford Street. Right here is the corridor that gets from the front of the building to the back where fire administration is. And in the Apparatus Bay, we want to show that the fire trucks have evolved over the years, and they've gotten larger and larger and larger. And what that's done is made the space that we're in smaller and smaller, making it difficult to navigate through the Apparatus Bay. And as you can see, engine 4 and engine 1 end up being very tight to each other with little space to get through. This is some of the issues that we're dealing with, is that we're simply just outgrowing this building. It's not just as far as length, it's also height. At the top of each of these trucks, there's just very little space that clears entering the building, specifically with the tower truck. When the tower truck backs in, it has just about an inch of clearance when it goes into the station. The other thing is that this is where all of our fire apparatus park, and when we come back from a structure fire, we clean the trucks and we clean ourselves, but there's still things that off gas. And this apparatus floor is right next to our day room, which is where we stage and prepare day-to-day operations. So in modern fire stations, there's going to be a hot to cold corridor where we keep all these toxic chemicals, carcinogens, and fumes away from where we're sitting day to day.
My name is Justin Silva, firefighter paramedic, and also the department EMS coordinator. So I want to show you a couple of space limitations we have in the station, in particular to the ambulance. So this is the ambulance that runs out of Station 1 at 1040 Bedford Street. And one space concern we have with the ambulance is the tightness in between the apparatus. One of the issues we have at Station 1 is the space limitation in between the ambulance and the forest fire truck. One of the things we need to do regularly with the ambulance is decontaminate the back of the ambulance. That includes washing the floors, wiping down all the surfaces, and in order to do that, we need to remove the stretcher. Because of the space limitation behind the ambulance, it is not possible to pull the stretcher out of the truck. Not always an issue, but on a day like today where it's pouring rain, it does create kind of a problem for maintaining and equipping the ambulance. Coming further back, this is the forest fire truck. So if we need to use this piece of apparatus, we have to pull the ambulance out first to access it. And coming to the back of the forest fire truck. So this is a unique shared space in the station. It's kind of where a lot of fire apparatus and the mechanics bench just all comes together into a very tight spot. We have to puzzle piece all the apparatus into the station, which makes it very difficult sometimes to deploy the apparatus efficiently. So one particular example is the department boat is very tight behind the tower ladder truck, which consequently is very tight behind the forest fire truck, which is behind the ambulance. So in order to deploy the boat, for example, we have to pull the tower ladder forward, pull the ambulance forward, pull the forest fire truck forward, move the boat around, hook the boat up, and respond to the call. And you can see how tight behind the forest fire truck it is to the mechanics bench. And there's definitely some hazards involved here, trip hazards, and just the trailer hitch and the clearance around the vehicle for moving around the trucks is very tight. This is the mechanics bench area. So we do maintain a lot of our own equipment, including the fire apparatus. We do light maintenance stuff, small engine repair. The department mechanics do a great job with that. There are some space limitations involved back here, as you can tell. There's some hazards involved here, bumping into different trailer hitches, and the space limitations involved with the shelves. Modern fire stations meet new standards in regards to structural PPE storage. This is our structural PPE. This is the Turnout gear rack, if you will. This is where everyone stores their PPE. And there's some limitations and some health concerns with the way that this gear is stored. New fire stations, the gear is stored separate from the apparatus in a positive pressure room, and that allows the that keeps the employees safe from the off-gassing carcinogens that come off of our gear. We don't have that capability at this station. In addition to the lack of that capability, the exhaust vents next to all the fire apparatus on this side of the building is directly next to our structural PPE. So even when these are cleaned, they're constantly being recontaminated with diesel fumes that come off of the fire apparatus, like the ambulance here. The Plimo vent system is designed to mitigate diesel fumes, but it's not 100% efficient. That's just inherent in the design of the system. So there is that concern that even our clean gear is being recontaminated with diesel fumes every single day.
Right now I'm going to show you the boiler room. The boiler room has evolved over the years here at the station, and because of the lack of storage and room in the building, we've had to adapt this room to fit other things. So on top of this being the primary boiler room, we also had to move our fire alarm equipment in here. So our fire alarm equipment is essentially their office that they have to work out of because of a lack of space. On top of that, we also have all of our day-to-day cleaning supplies, because we do house and police ourselves here at the station. We come in and do our morning chores of cleaning up the station, so we have to have a place to store all those things. On top of that, it has our hazardous material storage area that sits and waits to get picked up by the vendor, as well as our recyclables.
Hi, my name is Justin Silva, firefighter paramedic and the department EMS coordinator, and this is our medical supply room at Station 2. Little history on this room. This room was never intended to be a medical supply room. This room was a mechanical storage room. We stored things in here like hoses, fittings, different equipment to repair fire apparatus and small tools. And the firefighters here retrofitted this room about a few years ago to be a medical supply room, and it's kind of now what you see it. So the room was never designed to sustain the equipment for 3 ambulances, which the town now runs. So it's a little tight in here for space, but I'm going to walk you through some of the different things that we store in here and some of the limitations that are afforded to us by this room. So here we have some batteries for our monitor defibrillators, different needles and syringes, some stored fluid there, a lot of bleeding control stuff, burn sheets, ice packs, some advanced breathing stuff, some paramedic level skills here, whole slew of different things across the counter. A lot of oxygen masks and different masks that deliver medications to patients up here. Additional storage up top, hand sanitizer, chemical resistant suits, all of our gloves. The ensembles that we carry and the equipment that we carry in an ambulance today is drastically different than what it was even 10 years ago, never mind 25 years ago or 30 years ago when the station was built. So the more equipment continues to be added into this room, and the room is not expanding. So this is where we would store our gloves. Coming a little further back, this is where the oxygen is stored. This is not the best way to store oxygen tanks in regards to safety. A modern fire station, the oxygen tanks are stored a little bit differently to prevent tips and things like that. In the back of the room here, it's a little tight for space, but we also share this space with some people from fire prevention that work for the department. So we have our CPR mannequins here when we're doing community outreach and teaching CPR at the high school or wherever they might need us. And some further equipment kind of piled up in the corner there. And that's about the extent of it for our medical supply room here at Station 2. So this is our supply closet. This is a general purpose supply closet. It's a shared space. Being the medical officer for the department, this is kind of my niche here. These are the medical supplies that we use to stock the ambulance that runs out of Station 1, and also the fire apparatus, which is stocked with medical supplies. Because of the size of this shared space, we have a very limited amount of medical supplies that we can have at Station 1. So for example, this is a CPAP mask. We only have space. I can only stock one of these. So when stock starts to run low in this, the ambulance has to go down to the other stations or the larger supply room, restock. It's pretty difficult to keep up with the stock demand at this station because we're working with a very limited space. We can only stock one backboard up here, handful of oxygen tanks. It's not enough space for the amount of medical equipment that's being used out of this building. So besides the medical equipment, this is a shared space. So these cabinets here have maintenance supplies. We do maintain the station, small things that break and we can repair ourselves. That's something that we do. Coming further in, this is some of our cleaning supplies, which is right next to the medical supplies and right next to the rehab water that we stock on the fire apparatus for hot days during the summer. And just kind of going up these shelves is just different equipment, everything from hazmat type equipment, extra cones, and different pieces of equipment for the fire apparatus. So this is very much a general purpose room. Everything is kind of jammed in here. I'm not a very big guy. You can tell that's pretty tight quarters.
Hello, welcome to the Abington Fire Chief's office. You're right now in the Administrative Assistant's office. Her room is just prior to mine. And these offices were built in the back corner of the apparatus floor at Station 1 about probably 25 years ago. And because we needed some space for ourselves to do the tasks that the Fire Chief, the Administrative Assistant, does. It was a little crowded in the office up front. The room you're in now again, it's the fire chief's office. You see there's a couple of small chairs here. This is really the room, besides me conducting my business, that will interview candidates for whether it's a new hire, if we have any other business that we try to interview people for. The space is limited, as you can see. Around here, it's just a collection of all the items that a fire chief collects, if you will. We also added this. This is a server closet we put in a few years ago after I took over. This is the main computer servers and what have you for the department. It does get loud and it does get warm in there, but it's better than originally it was all just out in the open here, which was simply not feasible. So we're able to at least shut the door on that. And it's the only place really in the building we could find a safe location that was clean away from the products of the exhaust from the vehicles, the moisture from the vehicles as the apparatus floor it just becomes. So we put everything back here.
Hi, my name is Matt Kroll. I'm the Public Education Coordinator for the Town of Abington, as well as the Training Coordinator for the Town of Abington Fire Department. Here we are on the staircase landing, where we keep all of our equipment for public education. We keep equipment that we hand out to senior citizens and to the children in schools in Abington, as well as teaching materials that we use to deliver the education. Unfortunately, we're very, very limited on space, which kind of impacts the program. All we have is this locker and some hallway space that we can use, and it definitely impacts what we're able to do in the schools with the children. This is the corridor leading to our quarters. It's also known as my office. Here we have materials that we use to hand out to all the children in Abington that we teach, as well as the senior citizens. Usually it's about 6 feet high. Luckily, we just finished teaching them within the past week, so it's a little bit less. This is a shared space. As you can see, we have many props that we put on top of lockers, and these lockers are filled with radios and other equipment that we use for things like that.
Here we have our shared bathroom. Things have changed in the fire service over a number of years. One of the biggest changes is now we have female firefighters, a welcome change. The issue that we have now, though, is when we come from a structure fire, one of the most important things that we need to do is take a shower. We need to be able to get those contaminants off of our skin. The thing is if one of us are in the shower, it can only be one person at a time. And this is the point, is that the longer that those contaminants are in our skin, the worse that condition can become. So this is another shared space, really something that we look forward to in the future, to being able to have separate bathrooms, much like other modern fire stations do. This is our public restroom. The one public restroom for the building that's shared between fire administration and the public. So when folks come into the fire station asking to use the bathroom, which you can, we don't mind you doing that, unfortunately, this is our only bathroom for you at this moment. Welcome to our bunk area. As you know, we do 24-hour shifts, so this is our sleeping quarters. But again, another unique shared space within the building. Here we have our fitness room. Fitness is a very large part of our daily activities. When we go to a structure fire, or whether we're picking somebody up at a medical call, we need to be in tip-top physical shape. This is our fitness room within our sleeping quarters. As you can see, there's not too much space here. We have 6 members that work on our groups, on each group, on the 4 groups. If all of us would like to try to do a group workout, we clearly don't have the space. And because of the space limitation, as you can see, we're limited to the amount of equipment that we could have. Right now, in regards towards cardio equipment, we're only able to fit an elliptical machine. We have our bench press set up here, along with our free weights here, and a cable machine. Certainly, we would like to be able to house more equipment, but again, we lack the sheer amount of space.